Hello and welcome back to the Chelsea Chronicle, your mobile first Chelsea fix. I'm Jack Drury and joined again by James Shearman. How are we doing, my friend?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. I'm delighted the international break is coming to its end, and we're looking forward to Premier League action again. Today we're going to be talking about two of the biggest stars on international duty for Chelsea, Reece James and Marc Cucurella. Both seem to be turning heads with performances for England and Spain. And then we're looking ahead to Brentford, which could be potentially a tricky trip just across West London. Uh, James, looking at the international fixtures that have been, we had plenty of Chelsea players in action. Who was the real standout for you across all the games?
I think Reece James. He started both games for England, which was a surprise actually, and I'm not sure myself and many Chelsea fans will be happy about that because Thomas Tuchel should know better than anyone to wrap Reece James in cotton wool. So I was surprised he started both and played most of both games. But you can see why he's obviously England's best fullback. He might even be the best right back in the world. So complete, good going forward. He can overlap, he can come inside. Defensively, he's obviously so strong, so fast. And yeah, I thought he played well in both games, especially against the low block. His crossing was excellent. Maybe not on Trent's level, but I don't think there's honestly that much difference in it. He's a brilliant crosser of the ball. And so, yeah, an all-round great performance from him in both of England's games.
What did you make of Reece James's position in the England games? Obviously, against a couple of low blocks in Andorra and Serbia, he seems to be in a much more attacking position than he would be when he's playing there for Chelsea. Do you think he's better there? Do you think we can get back to him playing in that really advanced role, or is it better to really sort of play it safe with someone as important as he is for Chelsea?
Yeah, it's interesting to see the evolution of Reece James. Really, he played his best football arguably under Thomas Tuchel as a wing back. You know, bombing up and down the right wing, getting high and wide. And then under Maresca, he's been in a completely different role. He sometimes sits back and forms a three at the back as an outside centre back, or he steps into midfield. He's obviously brilliant at all three roles, which is great for Chelsea and England. I think in this game against Serbia, he definitely was playing as more of a traditional fullback, high and wide, like he was as a wing back under Tuchel, and that allowed him to get those crosses into the box, which created quite a few chances for England. So yeah, I think it was pleasing to see that he can still do that. Perhaps not so good for Maresca and the Chelsea staff who are worried about him getting injured. I think it's probably a more intense role playing as an up and down fullback rather than stepping into midfield. But yeah, another excellent performance from him, and it was good to see that he can still do that more attacking role if need be.
Oh, sure, very promising indeed. Another promising performance, Cucurella. Well, the resurgence continues for him, and now he's adding goals seemingly regularly into his game. It couldn't really be getting much better for him, could it?
Yeah, it's amazing to see Cucurella's improvement as well. He obviously did well in his one season at Brighton, come to Chelsea, and in that first year he was pretty awful for us, and we are thinking, why on earth did we want to sign him, and why did Pep want to sign him as well for Manchester City? But he's completely turned his form around. You'd struggle to find a better left back in the world, really. He's so solid defensively. Any winger, no matter how good they are, that goes up against Cucurella seems to have a tough day. And he's even thriving stepping into midfield in an advanced role. He can go high and wide and overlap and get those crosses into the box. And yeah, he's adding goals to his game as well. So again, just like Reece James, Cucurella is another really well-rounded fullback that Chelsea have. And you could probably say the best fullback pairing in the world.
Okay, so looking just briefly at a couple of other players who were in international duty this week. There was a good week for Pedro Neto for Portugal, and also a first Brazil goal for Esteval in his first start of the international break. And things just couldn't be going any better for him either. And he must be thinking, I've got a real chance at nailing down a regular role at Chelsea here.
Yeah, exactly. It goes from strength to strength for Esteval. He's made a brighter start to life at Stamford Bridge, and it seems that he's making a real impact at senior level for Brazil as well. He didn't start in their most recent game. He came off the bench, as did João Pedro, but those two, it's great to see Chelsea have a couple of players in the Brazil team. We'd gone a few years without some Brazilian brilliance, so to have those two is excellent. And then elsewhere, Moises Caicedo got sent off. That was disappointing. I don't know if you've seen his challenge that he
I
got
think
sent
he
off
got.
for, never a yellow.
I thought he got unlucky. Yeah, to put it
Yeah,
mildly.
yeah, never even a second yellow for Caicedo there. And Kendry Paez also came off the bench for Ecuador. So yeah, good to see Chelsea have loads of international talent on display.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many of them, especially the South Americans, are thrown in to play Brentford the next game on Saturday evening. Some of them are back for what 2, 3 days at most before the game. So there's going to be some decisions to make for Maresca, and also after the news that Liam Delap set to miss more than a couple of months due to his hamstring injury. There's going to be some decisions to make, particularly in attack and midfield for this one. How do you see Chelsea lining up for this game? Will it be João Pedro up front? Will Mark Guy get a look in after coming back from loan? What do you reckon?
Well, it depends on Cole Palmer, doesn't it? I think a lot of fans have been getting excited over the last couple of days because it seems to be that he's been in training again. That hasn't been confirmed by the club, but it looks like he is. And so if he's fit, then he will definitely start in the number 10 position. And then that would mean João Pedro up front. Marc Guiu will be on the bench like he usually was last season. I'm sure he'll be disappointed about that after being recalled from loan. But I think Chelsea's best front four, even if Liam Delap was still fit, would be Pedro, Palmer, Neto and Esteval. And so I think that will be the front four that Maresca goes with against Brentford.
Do you think we could see a debut for Garnacho off the bench if you think Neto's going to stay in the starting side?
Yeah, definitely Garnacho to come off the bench. I think it would be bold to start him straight off the bat. I know it's potentially a positive that he's not been on international duty with Argentina, whereas Neto and Esteval both have been on international duty, but I still think it would be best to bring Garnacho off the bench and hopefully he can have an impact in that last sort of 20-30 minutes of the game against Brentford.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. An interesting caveat, though, obviously Bayern Munich coming just a couple of days after the Brentford game. It's very early in the season to be wanting to think about rotation, but maybe Maresca looks at the Brentford game and thinks, oh, Reece James obviously only started one game for Chelsea this season. Do we now save him for Bayern Munich, especially after starting 2 games for England?
I would actually do the opposite. This might be a controversial opinion, but I think the Brentford game is far more important. Bayern Munich, obviously a bigger club, and everyone's going to get excited for that game away in the Champions League, not least because we won our first Champions League at the Allianz Arena. But that game doesn't really matter in the context of the Champions League because you can lose that by any scoreline and still qualify quite comfortably. You've got 7 other games, and you probably only need to win 3 or 4 of those to qualify for the knockout stages. So actually, not saying I wouldn't worry about the Bayern game. I would go and obviously try to win, but that's not important to me. It's more important that we win against Brentford on Saturday and keep our Premier League form up and try and stay in that title race as much as possible. So, yeah, I would pick Reece James and our other top players in the Brentford game and then see how they come out of that fitness-wise and then pick your team for Bayern.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, how big do you see the top 8 being in the group stage of the Champions League? Obviously, the first time we've been in the competition with the new format, but the top 8 will go straight through into the round of 16, and then the next 16 down will look to qualify to go and play them. Do you not see it as that important to try and get genuinely as many wins as possible, miss a round of knockout football later down the line?
I think the biggest thing is what you mentioned there. To miss a round would be good just to keep players fit and not to have too many games. In terms of your opponent, I don't think it makes much difference because I think you'll see a lot of surprise, maybe not surprise packages, but some mid-tier Champions League teams manage to get into that top 8 because they're taking it so seriously. And you might see some top teams in between the 9 to 16 positions. Think of PSG last year. They didn't finish in the top 8, whereas Aston Villa did. So I don't actually think you're guaranteed a lesser opponent if you finish in that top 8. So I don't think that should be Chelsea's focus. And you'd have to think that they would at least get into the first knockout round. It would be a pretty epic failure to be knocked out in that bottom 8. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that, and that's exactly why I would focus more on the Brentford game than the Bayern Munich one.
Okay, well, looking at Brentford then, what would you expect from our opponents on Saturday? New manager since Thomas Frank's gone to Spurs. It's been a mixed bag of results so far under Keith Andrews. Saturday night game under the lights at the G-Tech. What can you expect from Brentford that will really challenge Chelsea on Saturday?
Yeah, I think you can probably expect more of the same from Brentford that you would have from Thomas Frank last season. I think they'll be dangerous against the good teams in the Premier League because they're so dangerous on the counter-attack. You've got Kevin Schade on one wing and you've got Dango Ouattara, their record signing from Bournemouth on the other. So I think they've got plenty of pace on the counter-attack. I'm sure they'll sit in deep like most of the lesser teams in the Premier League do against Chelsea. So it'll probably be a case of breaking them down. And that's why Palmer and Pedro, that link up could be particularly important. And Esteval taking his man on, and he's already proved himself as one of the best dribblers in the league, even after a few games. So yeah, those three are probably the top men that will be needed to unlock the Brentford defence.
Yeah, and just one more positive from the week. We've seen Romeo Lavia and Badia Shield return to training this week. Obviously, Brentford's probably going to come too soon for either of them to make any appearance, but that's a really good sign with the fixtures starting to pile up that those two look like they're going to be options again soon.
Yeah, really important, especially with Colwill injured. Having Badia Shield as an option at the back means that you can potentially rotate Chalobah or Tosin. So that's really important going forward. And then, yeah, Romeo Lavia, every time he plays, he looks good. And Chelsea fans get excited and think, however much we spent on him, £50 million, looks like a bargain because he's such a Rolls Royce of a midfielder. But then he gets injured every time and you're back to square one. So I don't think he's that important to bring back into the fold because we do have Andre Santos who I think can definitely contribute. But anytime you have more top players available, I'm sure Maresca will be pleased. So yeah, having Lavia and Badia Shield back will definitely be a positive for Maresca going forward.
Couldn't agree more. Let's try and put an end to our 0% record on the predictions then so far. Neither of us have got one right yet. We're going to try and put that right with Brentford. What do you reckon is going to happen? What's the score going to be? Who's going to score first, if anyone, for Chelsea?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a 2-0 win for Chelsea. Optimistic from me, but I really do think the team will arrive back from the international break full of confidence and we should be. I know football doesn't work like this, but we should have too much for Brentford, especially if Palmer's back. I would back him to get a goal, actually. I think he'll be itching to get back on the pitch after missing the start to the season, so he'll be extra determined. And then I'm going to back Cucurella to get a goal. Why not? He got one for Spain. He's full of confidence and we've seen for Chelsea already this year that he can find himself in those attacking positions. Maybe a ball falls to him on the edge of the box and something like that against the low block that Brentford will put up. So, yeah, 2-0 Palmer and Cucurella for me.
You're going pretty positive. I don't want to down on all of that, but I'm going to go 1-0, and I think we might be frustrated for quite a long time in that game. I think we have a lot of the ball, maybe struggle to break down that low block, like you said, they're probably going to be using. Which we have seen from time to time with Chelsea, whether Palmer's playing or not. I don't know if he's going to be fit on Saturday, so I'm going to go a bit safer with my goal scorer and go for João Pedro to keep up his very strong start to the season. But that'll do it for us then. Tell us which international performance stood out most for you and how do you reckon we're going to get on against Brentford? Leave your predictions in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell to keep updated with all of our content. And up the Chelsea!